Hi everybody, it's Diana with StampingWithDi.com. I'm a little under the weather and I look like poo, so I'm just going to do talking hands today. And today is my Mimeograph Monday with a twist. So I will be watching live with you off to the chat, in the chat room off to the side. So if you have any questions, make sure you answer them there. It is very weird not to talk to you at the beginning. This is actually how I used to do videos. I used to just have talking hands, and then, I don't know, a year or so ago, I started actually showing my face, but you don't want to see me today. So anyway, if you are new to my channel, welcome. If you've been here before, welcome back. My name's Diana. I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator, and I'm in Santan Valley, Arizona. And on Mondays, I do my Mimeograph Monday with a twist. So basically, I'm going to do a card, and today it's this one. I'm going to do this card, and then I do one that's a twist. So I just take this idea and then I change it around. And so I have my recipe all ready to go. And here is the stamp set. So this is the Apple Harvest. And it is so pretty. I love to sit in color, so we're going to do some watercoloring today. And we're actually going to be using the Fluid 100 watercolor paper. It's been a while since I used this. I've been coloring a lot with the shimmery, but it called for this, and I'm glad I used it because I need to use this more often. We're also going to be using the rectangle stitched framelits. And then there's some bling and stuff like that too, but I'll show you that when we get to that point. All right, so let me get my stuff here. So what is fun is we are actually using the Sweetest Christmas. It's Christmas DSP for this card. So that's pretty cool. All right, so we have our little envelope. Now, this is a note card size. So finish, it's at 3.5 by 5. So it's smaller than a regular one, and I'll show you the card I made first when I made it as a regular card. And then I was like, well, this does not look quite right, and it was because of that. All right, this is, I want to make sure I have the strips right that go on the front. Okay, those are the front ones. And let's just stick this on the inside and be done with it. Get it off the table. Alrighty. So hopefully you had a good weekend. It's been cold, and we actually turned the heater on in the house, and I like to go a little longer before having to do that, but it was like 62 or something. So I have it still fairly low, like it's not super hot, but just to kind of knock that coldness out, especially in the morning when you get up. All right, so this is just going to go on the inside. So look how cute this paper is with the polka dots. Let's stamp our apple on here. So since we are watercoloring, we will be using the Stays On, and like I said, this is the watercolor paper. And so the Stays On, you want to make sure it's nice and juicy, not like so juicy it's dripping, but you want it to be nicely inked. And then this is kind of off, like it's kind of stamped kind of crooked. And that goes right on there. And then I'm just going to set it aside so it can dry. While that's drying, we're also going to do a little bit of heat embossing. So I have a piece of Old Olive, and I need my Versamark pad. And our greeting. So our greeting is the Hope You Are Feeling Better. So this is a perfect card. And oop, hopefully that won't dry since I didn't have my thing ready. Hold on, hold on. All right, get on there. All right, looks good. All right, let's get this out of the way so I don't blow it everywhere. All right, I have my heat gun off to the side. So let me get that going, just to heat it up a little bit so it won't take as long to cook. All right, and then once it starts to turn, you just move it on to the next section. There we go. I hope you are feeling better. There you go. Okay. All right, so we're going to cut this out. I'm just going to rub it on my pants a little bit. There, and bring that old olive back, because it almost changes the color a little bit. All right, just the heat from the heat gun. So I'm just going to trim this with my scissors. Nice and skinny. Like that. All right, so we have that. All right, so this should be good and dry. I totally forgot, I need 3 little flowers as well. All right, so we're going to put 3 little flowers. Now, if you lucked out and you got the die that went with this, remember we had that Perfect Partners. Oh, was that in October? I can't remember. Was it September? There was actually a die that cut this out. So I'm not going to use that because that is not a current item. It was only while supplies lasted on that. But if you lucked out and you got that, this card would be easy for you to do because you could just use the die to cut those out. Although they're not super hard because, you know, they're just tiny. All right, so let me get my colors here. So we want our handy dandy little cotton round to keep our water painter clean. So I'm just giving it a squeeze so it's clean from the last time. All right. Now, one thing that was not mentioned on the recipe was pool party. And I think they used pool party around it because I could see the pool party around the outside. So I'm like, yay, that's what I would do anyways. But so I'm glad they did it because then I'm doing it like the catalog. All right, so I'm going to take a little pool party. Now this is just the water painter. I have just squirted some refill in the lid. And there we go. And I'm just coming over here and I'm grabbing some of that pool party. It's fairly diluted. And I'm just going to scribble it on the side of the apples. And what's cool about the watercolor paper, it moves that water around. So if this is too dark, you can go back to it and just with water, it will allow you to soften it a little bit. And it stays wet a little longer, so you do need to make sure that you let things dry before you go and color with another color if you are brushing up where it's already been wet, because it will pull into that water. So if your apple is wet and you come from the center, it will drag it. Watercolor paper just loves water. All right, so that's just a little bit of pool party. Just around our apple, just to visually tell the eye that there's some sky there. Now when you're watercoloring, you want to do the lightest colors first. So petal pink is pretty light. So I'm going to do that color next and get my finger right in the pad. All right, so we are going to do petal pink and do these flowers. So I'm just coloring them right in the center, but I'm not going to the edge. I want there to be like a white edge of the flower. So they're super quick to color. Watercoloring it is just so forgiving. And if you've never watercolored before, definitely try it. And if you do it with, like, you know, fruit and flowers and stuff, that's forgiving because nothing is perfect. If you start out by coloring a person, that's a little harder. All right, so let's see here. What else do I want? We want old olive, so that's going to be for our leaves. So just, you know, if you've not done the watercoloring, just try something simple And this is a perfect one. I mean, it's just apples. So you can't really mess that up. All right, so this is Old Olive. So I'm doing a quick coat of Old Olive just to get that color on there. Then I'm going to go back into there and grab it where it's a little darker. And then we're going to put some darker Old Olive on there. So you just want to make sure it's dry in between. Or like I said, if this is wet and you start coming back, it will just pull it into there and you won't get that highlight and low light because of all the water. So just make sure it's dry. So I'm not like saturating my brush. I mean, it's, you know, I'm just wetting it enough. You don't want it to be dripping. All right, we're going to do soft suede for our stem or our branch. So I'm just picking up off to the side where it's a little bit less diluted, and we're just going to, just like we did the leaves, we're just putting down a coat quickly with soft suede, and then we'll get a little bit darker. Now this still might be a little bit wet, so maybe you'll be able to see some of it reacting to that water, how it will pull that water around. All right, so there's our branch. And then cherry cobbler are our apples. Now cherry cobbler is a pretty dark red. And oh, you know what I forgot? Hang on a minute, hang on a minute. This should have been done first. I forgot. It's so saffron. I forgot about the center of the apple. So the center of the apple here is so saffron. All right, so we're just going to pick up some so saffron. We don't want it to be really, really dark. And I can't, hang on a minute. Let me bring this over here. I have so many colors, but I like to leave it in the ink pad. I know it takes up more room on the desk, but I'm not wasting any ink by using the lid. If I put it in like a paint palette, I would be tossing so much refill. So I just have the ink pads all over the place. All right, so we have, this is just so saffron, and we're just going to put this in the center of the cut apple. And that just gives you that, you know, an apple isn't really white, but it gives you that, you know, apple look. So I started here when I had more of the saffron on my, so it's a little darker over there. You can pick up a little bit more if you want, just so that edge is a little bit darker. All right, now we can color our apple. Now, whenever you watercolor, you always watercolor red last, because you, in case you have water anywhere, you think it's dry and it's not, it will, you know, just follow that water. Also, if you brush up an X next to an area, it will also tend to pull color. So you know how like where this was a little bit dark, I was able to go back in there and make that be not so blue. Well, it's because the watercolor paper is so cool, it allows you to do that. And because this is watercolor ink, or water-based ink. So that's why you always want to do red last. So if you did your leaves and you by accident brush up to your red apple, you would pull that red into your leaf. So do red last. All right, so we are, and that's when I'm doing the watercoloring with the ink pads. If I'm using the blends, it's not as serious, but I still try, you know, try to be careful. All right, so this is just cherry cobbler, and like I said, it's a pretty potent red. So we are just coloring, doing the same thing. We're getting that one coat down. And what's nice about the water painters, they hold a lot of color. So I can pretty much load that and finish in one, you know, one into the pad. You don't have to keep going back and forth, like if you used a blender pen. You'd have to keep going back and forth into the ink pad because it's not a brush, right? It doesn't hold that thing. All right, so we've got our first coat. Now I can get this a little bit darker, and we can add a second coat so it's a little darker around the edge. I don't want to color it all the way in because I do want it to have some lights and darks. So I'm just going to leave that lighter right there. Let's put this a little darker as it goes into there and here. So simple and easy. All right, let me close this. Now some of these colors I am changing for the twist. So that's going to be exciting. All right, so let me move that out of the way. We don't need that right now. So let's bring our card over. So we have these strips of DSP, and they are going to be like this on the card. So I'm just visually kind of seeing where I need to lay them. Okay. And my eyes work a little better if I go like this. I don't know why, but my eyes seem to make them be straighter if it's back and forth. All right, so I'm going to use the edge of this. So I want them to be about the same on each side. All right. I'm not putting tons of tons just in case I have to lift it. All right, now I'm going to do the same thing here. I'm just visually making sure that that looks about the same. But I'm not going to push it down hard just in case because it looks good. But I won't know for sure till I get the middle one because then I'll know if they're even. And it looks pretty darn good. So I can put that, I can push that, and then I can see now that this one was off just a tad. So I was able to lift that up. And there we go. So now they look really, really good. Okay, so then we're going to put this on with dimensionals. And, oh, here they are. I'm like, where's my mama dimensionals? We won't want the baby ones just yet. All right, so let's go 1, 2, 3, 4, just so we don't have a saggy center. And I still have to cut my little flowers out, but they're super easy to cut out. All right, so we're going to stick this on here. And this is when I realized when I was putting the card together, when I glued this on, and I'll show you that card in a minute, I was like, oh, that was a note card. Because sometimes they tell, and sometimes they don't. And obviously, this time they didn't. So, all right, so I'm just going to cut these out really quick. And if you are new, to cut out, I just squeeze the scissors, and I move with this hand the paper, and it's a lot easier to do fussy cutting. Now this is watercolor paper, so it's thicker than like cutting out DSP, so you have to squeeze a little harder, but it's still not too bad. All right, so let's see here. 1, 2, there's 3 flowers. And we're also going to be using the new flower trinkets, and I hadn't used those yet. I showed them for my catalog flip through, but I had not used them yet. So that was kind of cool. I'm glad that I, looked at the recipe because I would not have noticed. I don't think that they were on the card till I read the recipe. All right, so if you have any questions, make sure you put them in the chat. And if you are just joining me, this is Mimeograph Monday with a Twist. So this card right here is the one that I am casing out of the catalog. And it's on page 54 in the mini catalog. And then after this card, I will do my twist card. All right, so let's see here. So we want some glue dots that have totally, oh, here they are. I'm always losing. You know what? I want to use the baby dimensionals instead. I want these to stick out a little bit more. So we're going to use the baby dimensionals. Okay. So we're going to put one here. Let's see, let me look on the catalog. All right, one over here. And one here. So I didn't quite stamp this the same. I'm off a little bit with my flower, but that's okay. All right, it doesn't have to be identical. All right, we also want some of the in color baker's twine. So I'm just going to tie it in like a bow, and we're just going to put that on the card about here, because now I'm having to go look, because I haven't made this one now because I did some changes. All right, so we're going to put this here because the one I made was a full card, and we'll show you the difference. All right, now we have my hope this day is better, so that's going to go on here. And let's see, I'm going to put a baby dimensional on here to grab that greeting. Hope your day is better. So it grabs that greeting. All right, then let's get these flower trinkets. So these are the new flower trinkets, and they're adhesive backed. They're super heavy. I mean, this is so heavy, and there's actually 5, if you can believe it, 5 on the card. There's silver, gold, and maybe copper. It's hard to tell in the light, but I want to say, or maybe they're champagne. I could look in the catalog, but I'm not going to. I'm going to get the card done and get to the twist card. But they are pretty. All right, so these are what we're going to put on there. So we have, but like I said, they're super heavy and thick. So I don't know if I necessarily would put 5 on a card, but we are doing like the catalog. So we are. All right, so 1, 2, 3, 4, and where's that? Oh, okay. 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So there is that. So what do you think? Oop, I moved the camera. So there's the catalog version. Hang on, I was going to show you. I forgot. So this is what I did first, right? So I was thinking it was a regular size card till I got it pretty much done. And when I was gluing this, I realized, oh, well, this is not, you know, overlapping to here. So then I realized that this was a note card. So this is a difference. This is a regular size card. This is a note card. These pieces are 1 1/4 inch. These are 1. So, but this right here is the same die. It's just, you know, looks bigger on this card because it's a smaller card. Okay, so now I will clean up and we'll get to my twist card. Okay, so let's get on to the twist card. So I changed some colors around. I changed the DSP around. I had a lot of fun coming up with the twist card. Now remember to stamp your envelopes. I am so bad about that. All right, so we have, so the card base this time is Pool Party. And I love Pool Party. It is such a great vintagey kind of color. We are using the same rectangle die, same shape. So let me get that stamped so it can be drying. All right. but I'm going to change the orientation of this card. So this time I'm going to stamp the apple going this direction. And I'm going to stamp it off, you know, to the left of the card. Okay. Now it's important to clean those. They will stain because StazOn stains. It just does. And it also smells like almonds if you have a StazOn pad. All right, now I did do the flowers the same here, and I already cut them out just to save some time. While that's drying good, I am going to do my greeting. Now this time I wanted to make it a thank you card, so I just embossed it just like I did the other one. This time I used a Granny Apple Green because I'm going to be using Granny Apple instead of Old Olive. It gives it a brighter appearance and I think like a happier kind of card. All right. Okay. So we don't need that. Let's bring this over. I want to make sure I'm not like using something that's supposed to be somewhere else. All right, so this is the Hues of Happiness. So I changed the DSP, so I went Hues of Happiness for the DSP. So we want this to have a border because we're going to put some ribbon on it. And if you just put the ribbon on DSP, it's so flimsy. So I'm just going to put it on this basic white just to give it a little bit more support when I put it on the card. So that's going to go on there in a minute. All right, so then we want the inside. So this will go on the inside. And I think our apple should be good and dry by now. All right, that's going to go on the inside. All right, so let's start to color our also want that. Okay, so let's get coloring our apple. Now, where is my water painter? So I'm just squeezing because it's got some red in there because we colored red last. So I'm going to make sure that that's all out of there. Now this time, instead of Pool Party, I want this to be bright. This card's going to be much brighter than the other one. So I want, instead of the Pool Party, I'm grabbing Coastal Cabana. And this is such a pretty blue-green. It reminds me of like the ocean. So we're going to use Coastal Cabana to go around our apples this time. But it's the same thing. We're just scribbling it around our apples just to give our eyes that there's sky there. So we're going around. And then see where it's dark here? I'm just going to go in here with that water right from the brush, and that will soften that line so you won't have that harsh line. So that's what's fun about the watercolor paper. I love coloring on shimmery, but once it's dried on the shimmery, you can't do that. All right, so watercolor paper is pretty cool. All right, so see, can you see that? So it's a little brighter. It might not show as good on the camera as it does in real life. Okay, so let's color our, so I'm going to do the same thing. We're going to do So Saffron for the center of our apple. So the same thing, and then I just barely touch as it gets down to the bottom. So it's darker up there, and then it goes lighter, lighter, lighter to the bottom. We're going to do the same petal pink to the flowers, and like I said, I already did the two and cut them out just to make this card go a little faster. All right, squeeze, squeeze, squeeze. I did stick with the same soft suede for our branch. That's just a perfect, I love soft suede. It's just such a perfect brown. So we're doing that. So this gives that a different look because of the angle that it's at. All right, and then this time I'm doing Granny Apple for the leaves to keep it in that bright, you know, because I said I wanted the card to be a little brighter than the other one. So I'm doing Granny Apple. That's also why I chose Granny Apple for the cardstock that had the greeting on it. So yes, I'm just feeling a little, to be honest, I have shingles again. Can you believe it? After having it, and I've already had that twice, you know, that shingle shot. So I'm hoping it's just going to be a mild case. They got me on the medicine already. It's in a different spot. But I was just like, I just want to cry. Because I'm like, you know what? But my nerves are frazzled because it doesn't take much to get my nerves frazzled. All right, so we're also going to do sweet sorbet. My husband, he's like, oh, just don't be nervous. But I don't know. I can't tell I try to tell my body, don't be nervous. Don't be nervous. Don't be stressed, but good luck. All right, so sweet sorbet is a brighter red than the cherry cobbler, so I wanted it to be a brighter red. So I'm just doing that same thing. We're putting the first coat down, so I had gone to the doctor and I'm like, I think I got shingles again. Oh, I don't think so. I'm like, I know what it feels like, I know what it looks like. So I made him give me the medicine, because that's what happened last time. They didn't give me the medicine right away, and it got so bad. By the time I got the medicine, the pain was unbearable. I'm like, I am not going to do that again. All right, so this is just making that a little darker. So what I like about the sweet sorbet is it's such a pretty red that you can make it be darker like that, and it's not going to be like cherry cobbler. If you go too dark, it could almost be like black. It's so dark. But the sweet sorbet is just a brighter red, so I can go a little darker with it and not have it be too dark. All right, so there is that. So I kind of like, you know, this way of the card, I think. So I also wanted to back this with a piece of the sweet sorbet, because we have the sweet sorbet here. So I wanted to put that somewhere. So you know how I like things to kind of match. If you use a apple, Granny Apple, I want to use it more than once if it doesn't show up in the DSP or something, right? All right, so we have our our apple. All right, so let's put this on the inside, and I'm almost out of seal. All right, so we have our pool party. So this goes on the inside, and I want to put a different ribbon on the front. So I'm going to use the seam binding, and this is soft seafoam, but it's such a light green that it looks awesome. Like, you know, it's just such a light green. So I just, you know, cut me 2 pieces, so they're over here. All right, so yeah, so the doctor gave me some, I have these travel anxiety medicines, and we're supposed to go to Texas this week, and I'm hoping we still can. The doctor says yes, but I'm just like, well, I don't know. All right, so anyways, he gave me some travel medicine, So let's not talk about health anymore. This is a fun card. All right, so see how pretty that is on there? So then we're gonna put this on here, and I'm just gonna put a little Scotch tape just in case, just so that it gets doubly held, because I am gonna tie another piece on there, and so that means I'll be tugging on it, so I just wanna make sure it's good and secure. All right, so we're gonna put this on with glue dots, because we do have that ribbon back there. So the glue dots are just going to give that little bit of thickness in order to make these stick better, because that ribbon is there. All right, so that's going to go there. I'm going to put this on with dimensionals. I'm also changing the bling. Now we have ribbon going down the center, so I am not putting a dimensional in the center, because I don't want the ribbon stuck. I don't want my dimensional stuck on the ribbon. So we're just putting 4, and then this will straddle that ribbon, and I'm coming over to the side. That looks pretty straight. And this piece, I'm just going to loop it into here, and we're going to tie this in a double knot. And this just looks like you wrapped the ribbon around the card, but it was just like that fake bow. And then cut our tails. And I think this green looks so pretty. It looks very similar, like a light granny apple. We also want our little flowers. So we'll put those on with dimensionals again. And I only did 2 because 3 was too much. And you can see one's here. You can see one's there. So 3 was just too much. All right, so let's see here. So we're going to put this down here. So we're going to put some glue dots. And then we're going to do our bling. And like I said, I changed the bling. And I'm using the solid faceted gems, and they have this real pretty petal pink. Is it petal pink? I wrote down, hang on a minute, what is this? Yeah, petal pink. So these are Balmy Navy, petal pink, Mambo, Pool, and Mossy. That's the colors that these are. So I thought, you know what, I want to use a different bling, and I have a mess of them in here. So let's see here. Let's see. Oh, this should work. So I want some big ones and some little ones. So we have little. Come on, baby. Little. But I also want to have some big ones. So let's see. I'm going to put a big one. A little one, and one more, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So there is that. All right, let me see here. Let me move this. Look at my mess. All right, so let's see. Let me make sure I've got everything. I didn't forget anything, which is easy to do. I think I do. I think I got everything. So let me show you the catalog version. So here's the catalog version, and then here is my twist. So what do you think? I love them both. And then here's the one I did, you know, before, and then here's the other one that was bigger, you know, just so there's 4. So anyways, all right, so as long as everything goes okay, and I'm feeling okay tomorrow, make sure you come back tomorrow for my Teach Me Tuesdays. And I probably will not be doing Friday or Monday because we should be in Texas, and originally I had planned to do the videos before I left, but with all this going on, I just need to calm myself down and not be stressing out. So if you will forgive me, I won't do a Friday or a week from today, a mimeograph next Monday, and then I will see you a week from tomorrow for that following Tuesday. But as long as everything goes good, you will see me tomorrow. So 3 o'clock, Errors at a time, same channel. If anything changes, I will put a post here so that you know. But thanks so much for spending some time with me and my hands, and I will hopefully see you tomorrow. All right, bye for now.